Hello everyone, this is Mr. Bornheimer, and today we're going to be working with the Contaminated GIMP assignment, where we're going to create a relatively cool looking nuclear symbol. And if you look on the left hand side here, you'll see me scroll through it real fast, and then bam, it should look something like this at the end. So that's kind of what we're shooting for. We're going to go ahead and go back up to the top. And the very first thing it says is to create a 600 by 450 image. So I'm going to go to File, New. And I'm going to create a 600 by 450. Hit OK, and there it is. OK. Now, it says to fill the background with black and place the nuke sign in the center of the canvas. Well, the problem is we've got to be able to get this nuke sign. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to right-click on it. I'm going to go to Save Picture As. I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to save this as nuke. It's a JPEG. Save. And there it is. I'm going to go ahead and therefore I'm going to go ahead and open it with Paint. Now, you might be thinking, why would I open it in Paint? By opening it in Paint, it allows me to cut it and paste it into GIMP. So I'm going to go ahead and select all. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit Cut and minimize this. I'm going to go Edit, Paste Into, and there it is. Okay, once you've pasted in your nuke symbol, I am going to go ahead and obviously I want to be very careful about my layers, as we've seen in previous assignments. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this. I'm going to go and bring up my layers dialog box, and I'm going to make this a new layer. And it solidifies my what as I wanted to paste. Okay, in order to do that, anytime you go to paste into, it creates a floating layer. If you right-click it and hit New Layer, it then makes it permanent, like it did here. I want my background to be black, and I want just the nuke symbol on this pasted layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut out the black. And what I did is I selected the wand, and I selected the area around the nuke symbol. The wand kind of selects all of that, and then it allows me to delete it. And that's what I did. Now I have just the nuke symbol. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and highlight my background. I'm going to paint it black. And to finish this step, I'm going to go to select None. So now I have my nuke symbol on a black background. Okay, now obviously my background here looks a little funny. If I were to go ahead and move this a little bit, you would see that it left a white spot there. So I'm going to go to my background. I'm going to go ahead and just fill it in a little bit. And then I might have to play around with it a little bit. One of the things you can do is if you go back and forth between white and black, you can get it to fill in more. And it doesn't look like it's filling in that well for me. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the paintbrush. And I'm just going to go ahead and do this to make sure it's all nice and black. Okay, there we go. Nice black background. Okay, I'm going to move my nuke symbol back into the center. There it is. And now I'm going to go to select all, select none, and we should be good to go. Okay. Now it says, now right-click on the nuke icon layer and click on Alpha to Selection. Then go to Filters, Light and Shadows, Drop Shadows, set the settings to Offset, Offset X, Y, Blur Radius, Color, Opacity, and unclick Allow Resizing. It's a lot of information. Essentially what we're going to do is we're just going to take it a step at a time. We're going to go to Filters, Light and Shadows, Drop Shadows. So Filters, Light and Shadow, Drop Shadow. And it brings up this dialog box right here. One of the benefits of these many tutorials is it gives you different ideas of how to use the filters. Obviously, you may not necessarily want to recreate all of these things, but the different filters give you insight into the things you can do with GIMP. So, for instance, like in some of the previous ones where you've done Gaussian blurs and you've done different, polar coordinate filters and things like that, where you've been able to twist things. So, please keep in mind that this is not meant to be just a step by step follow along and not learn. It's supposed to be a way of familiarizing you with all uh, the different filters that GIMP makes available and how to utilize layers and the brushes and the gradients and things like that so that you can use them in some of your own creations if you choose to make any. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and fill in my offset for X should be 0. My offset for Y should be 0. My blur radius should be 380. My color should be, they give me a very specific, A5 EF17. Okay, and if I scroll down here in my tutorial, it says opacity should be 100, and I want to unclick allow resizing. Okay, and it looks like that's okay. Oh, now it didn't do anything. That might be because I had the wrong layer. Maybe not. There we go. Ah, that's what I wanted. There it is. Okay, now it looks like I'm kind of messed it up. Let's go ahead and undo that. All right, to fix kind of what I was doing there, one of the things that says you have to make sure the nuke icon layer is selected, and then you need to make sure that the alpha lock channel is clicked. Now I'll go to filters, drop shadow, or light shadow, drop shadow. I'm going to hit OK, because all the values are still the same as before. And now it creates that kind of hazy background, right? Kind of like what we see here. All right, but now it says repeat step 3, but this time set the blur radius to 100. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and again make sure that my pasted layer here, my nuke layer is selected. I'm going to go to filters. I'm going to go to light and shadow, drop shadow. Now my blur radius will be 100. I'm going to hit OK, and now it gives it even brighter inner kind of glow effect. Now, it says, next open the water picture and open it in GIMP, then resize it to 700 by 990 by going to Image, Scale Image. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this picture as, and what do they call it in the file here? They're going to call it the water picture. So we're going to save it as the water picture. And we're going to save that to the desktop. Now, if I go to the desktop, I can open it with GIMP. I should be able to open it with GIMP. Let's browse for GIMP here. If you go to My Computer, Program Files, let's see here. Let's go to the desktop. Oh, how do I want to open this? Okay, I went to the hard drive, program files, found GIMP, okay, and opened it. You should have a GIMP icon on your desktop to make this easier, okay? But for me, it's a little bit different because I'm on a different account. So I'm going to go to GIMP here. I'm going to open. I'm going to hit OK, and it's going to open this particular image in GIMP. Now, I'm going to go ahead. I want to follow the instructions. It says resize it to 700 by 990 by going to Image, Scale Image. So I'm going to go to Image. I'm going to go to Scale Image. And the width is supposed to be 700. And the height is supposed to be 900. I'm going to go to Scale. There it is. Now, it says to next change the image to black and white by going to Colors, Desaturate. Okay, so there it is. And then it goes to go to Colors, Brightness and Contrast. So there it is. I'm going to set the brightness to -80 and the contrast 118. And there it is. Now, I want to insert the watercolor image over the other layers and then rotate the image on an angle of 128 and set the layer mode to overlay. So ultimately what I want to do is I want to insert this into the other image. So I can actually I can copy this or copy what is visible, and I can go to edit, paste as, or paste into, and there it is. Now, obviously, that's over top of my other image. And I want to bring up my layers here. I'm going to create a new layer, makes it a permanent layer. I don't want the white around it. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to for whatever reason, it's only allowing me to move it. Actually, it's not allowing me to use any other. See now if I can. Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. I'm going to delete those. All right, I might have to undo that, so I'm just going to go ahead and play around with this. Actually, I'll undo it just as is because it didn't say to actually delete that. All right, I want to, it says, place the image above all the other layers and then rotate the image on an angle of 128. So let's just go to select none. Let's just take this layer and rotate it. We should be able to transform to an angle of 128. Please notice that when I rotated it, I went to layer rotation, okay? Because if you do image, it'll rotate everything. I just want to rotate this. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate that. Okay, and then I'm going to make this layer so that it's overlay, kind of like that. And part of the problem with my image right now is that it's not, it's kind of got an edge here. So I'm going to go ahead and try to move this layer so that it looks more like the image on the left-hand side. And I think that's pretty close right there. Okay, now next turn off the textured watercolor layer by clicking on the eye icon on the layer dialog so it doesn't get in the way. So I'm going to turn it off. In step 9, it says, next, grab the path tool and create a curved path. The idea is to start all paths from the edge of the icon as if coming from behind it. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and create a path here. And it looks like they start right about here. I'm going to just pull these out. And then it looks like over here is the next selection. If I adjust these, I can get it to look something like this. Okay, now it says create a new layer, change the foreground color to yellow, and with the path still active, go to the edit stroke path and set the value to 3 pixels. Note, if the path disappears, go to the path dialog and right click the path tool. So first I'm going to start by creating a new layer. Oops, there we go. So I'm going to create a new layer and just hit OK. I'm going to change the foreground color. So go here, change the foreground color to FDF23C. I'm going to hit OK. And now I'm going to go to this layer still active. I'm going to go to the edit stroke path. I'm going to need the paths dialog box out for this because I'm working with paths, but I can combine it with my layers dialog box so that they are in the same kind of window, kind of keep down on my windows. See how I kind of dragged it over? I'm going to make my path visible here. And now I'm going to go to, I want to go ahead and hit stroke the path. And here's the different dialog box. I need it to be to 3 pixels. It's going to be a solid color. And we're going to hit OK. And now it should look something like this. And if I get rid of, if I make the path disappear, the path should disappear. I don't understand why it's not. Sometimes these things are a little tricky. There it is. Okay, now it says select the probably should be eraser tool. Erase part of the overlapping line so it looks like it's coming from behind the icon. Then use the Circle Fuzzy 19 Easy Brush to get a faded effect for the endpoints. So to kind of create this here. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the brush. I want to be able to hide this path. Okay, if I have to, I'll delete it. But and let's worry about the brush thing for right now. Here we go. So we're going to use Circle Fuzzy 19. There it is. And it says, here, erase part of the overlapping line so it looks like it's coming from behind the icon. Then use the Circle Fuzzy 19 eraser brush to get a faded effect for the endpoints. So now I don't really see if you just use the brush normally, it creates this big yellow blob. I don't want to do that. So I want to create the eraser. I want it to be an eraser. Circle 19. If you just erase it, it doesn't do that either. So you kind of want to apply like a fade out, Control Z, but you want it to be, essentially want it to be a lot more of a longer length here. Let's try 300 pixels. All right, let's try that again. Something like that. Play around with it so you get that faded look on the end of the line. Now it says, next add a glow to the stroke by going to the path dialog, then right-click to the path tool on the path previously drawn. So I'm going to go to, and so I've right-clicked on this, and it's going to go to the path tool. Then it says select Circle Fuzzy 17 from the Brushes dialog. So Brushes dialog, Circle 17. Hit Edit, Stroke Path, and select Stroke with Paint tool. Finally set the layer to Overlay. So just reading this carefully. Next, add a glow to the stroke by going to the Path dialog. Then right-click to the Path tool on the path previously drawn. Then select the Circle Fuzzy 17 selected from the Brushes dialog and go to the Edit Stroke Path. Okay, so I'm going to go Stroke Path. And finally set the layer to Overlay. So we're going to stroke this. And it didn't work exactly like I wanted it to. Stroke the path. Stroke with the paintbrush tool. Obviously much too big. Let's try an overlay, is what it was suggesting. Now let's try to stroke this. That didn't work either. Okay, let's try a different number. Let's not try 7. So let's go fuzzy 17. That was probably my issue here. It's still, and it probably needs to be a much smaller scale. Let's try a scale of 1. There we go. Sometimes you've just got to explore things if they don't seem to be going quite right. And now let's do normal. There it is. Okay, let's go to layers and select this. Control Z. Don't want to do that. Want this to be behind it. try this as an overlay. There's just a lot of trial and error here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer. That new layer is going to be the path glow. All right, and there it is. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead now and stroke that path again. So there it is. And here it is. And when we do it, it's going to kind of cover this over. That's okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take this layer and we're going to make it an overlay. So now it gives that path kind of a glowing effect. All right. And now we're going to kind of use the same tool eraser here with a fade out to kind of give this end also a fade. So we're going to kind of do that again here. Try to get it right. There it is. That's a little better anyway. All right, and now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create 3 more of those, okay, using different paths and things, and essentially you get that same effect. Ultimately, I'm not going to create 3 more of those. I'll leave that up to you, but what you can do then is I'm going to show you how to create the sparkle effect and then to put it all together. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go ahead and create a new layer again. So we're going to go ahead and create another layer. This particular assignment involves quite a few layers. Okay, so here we go. We're going to create another layer, and we're going to call this the sparkle effect. Hit OK. All right, now create a new layer and go to the path dialog, and then right-click the path tool on the path previously created. Then select Sparks from the Brushes tab and go to the Edit Stroke Path and select Stroke with Paint tool. Repeat this on the top left stroke, and then when you're done, set the layer mode to overlay. So ultimately, we've got the sparkle effect. We're going to go ahead and stroke the path again. But this time, we need to set the paintbrush up to be sparkly. And we don't want the galaxy. We want the sparkle effect. The vine may not have a sparkle effect here. Depends. I'm going to try this one. We'll see if this works. Okay, I want to make sure my scale is set to 1. Okay, and then I don't want it to fade out. I just want it to be like that. And now I'm going to hit stroke, and it creates something like that. Now, one of the effects you should have in yours is like a spark brush. I don't know. I don't have that particular effect. It's a type of brush. Okay, so but you could. But this would work if you wanted to create something similar to this. See if I can. I'll kind of have to look for another brush here real quick. There's a confetti, felt pen, pixel. Doesn't look like I have clipboard, animated confetti, circle fuzzy. It just doesn't look like I have it. I mean, if I were to do it this, I could also do the same thing again. Could stroke the path and then stroke, and now I'd have confetti along there. So there's different effects you can do. Okay, I'll just leave it at that. If you were to do that for all 3, it would look pretty sweet. Okay, and then you could apply a few spots here or there. Essentially, you make everything visible. So you go to the paths, or you go to the layers here. You want to make this visible, and then once everything is on there, all the different paths, the background, the different glowing effects, it would look pretty sweet. Obviously, yours is going to look better than mine. You should have at least 3 different paths, so you have this kind of orbiting effect that all chemistry teachers love. And I hope this helps. If you have any questions, you can email me. Make sure that when you go to save this file, you save it as both an XCF and a JPEG, and then upload both to Google Drive. Thank you, and have a good afternoon.